Hi, I'm Emily, and welcome to our podcast, Life After D. This is Lenard de Guzman, my wonderful co-host, and we like to talk about what's going on in the divorce news, how people get through life after divorce. I'm a divorce attorney, so I like to share my stories and information about divorce that can help people who might be watching this to get through their divorce or survive after their divorce. And we like to go online and look at different questions and answer them for you. And if you ever have questions, you can always send them over to us. We're on Facebook, we're on Spotify, um, and we're happy to answer your questions as well. So, Lenny, what is going on in the world?
Well, it's August 12th. We're still figuring this whole pandemic thing out. So I'm going to go through my feed, my news feed here. There's this case that I think it's like everyone's favorite divorce case with Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
So let's go over this latest thing from Fox News. Angelina Jolie asked Judge and Brad Pitt divorce proceedings to be removed. She claims the judge failed to disclose business ties to Pitt's attorneys. So Angelina Jolie filed official paperwork to ask that the private judge overseeing her divorce proceedings from Brad Pitt, be disqualified for failure to disclose his business relationship with her ex's attorneys. In a filing in Los Angeles Superior Court, Jolie argues that Judge John W. Oderkirk should be taken off the divorce case because he was too late and not forthcoming enough about other cases he was hired for involving Pitt's attorney Ann C. Kiley. How's this going to all work out? Is it ever going to end?
Interesting. Well, it sounds like they hired a private judge instead of going through the public system, which happens a lot because it's faster. And especially with COVID, it's hard to get a court date. And with a private judge, you control the calendar. Everybody can do their proceedings whenever it works for the judge and the parties. Um, it's tough because judges are supposed to disclose all of their potential conflicts. However, even though LA is giant, it's still kind of a small community, and most of the lawyers do know most of the private judges. So just the fact that you know somebody doesn't necessarily disqualify them. I have attorneys who are friends that have become judges. And once they become judges, we can't go out to dinner or hang out socially or talk on the phone as friends. But it doesn't disqualify them from being, a judge on my case. If that were the case, then it would be very hard for any attorneys and judges to ever work because we know each other, from a business perspective. However, there are ties that are considered too close, and maybe they are really good friends and they hang out all the time now, and so that could be a problem. Maybe they have, some family relations, like, someone's brother is married to someone's sister or something. So that could be the case. And if the court finds that that is true, then they'll have to hire a new private judge. But I do think it's very hard in those circles with celebrities who have many lawyers and many judges involved. It's hard to find people that don't know each other. They're always going to know each other on some level.
Okay. Well, it's a small world, I guess. That's the
Exactly.
lesson. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, I don't know. Reality TV's it's become like a thing. Like, I guess if you're a reality show star, you're a celebrity, and I guess if you're making the dough, I guess you get TMZ'd. So in this article by us, magazine.com, Shahs of Sunset, Lily. Gosh, I'm just the worst with last names. You say Lily. Galici files for divorce from Dara Mir again, 10 months after reconciliation. It's over again. Shahs of Sunset star Lily Galici has filed for divorce from estranged husband Dara Mir 1 year after the pair's essential split. Us Weekly can confirm the 37-year-old reality star filed paperwork at Los Angeles County Courthouse on Friday, August 7th, seeking dissolution of marriage with minor children. The pair welcomed daughter Alara in October 2018. Mir, 39, first filed for divorce 10 months later, citing irreconcilable differences as a reason for the duo's split. Let's go through this a little bit. In November 2019, Mir asked the court to dismiss his divorce filing 1 month earlier. He was spotted locking lips with his estranged wife at their daughter's first birthday party. Galici later opened up about her relationship with Mir and hinted that they would be willing to give their romance another chance. Okay, so a couple things. Why do they say, what's like estranged mean? I mean, I probably could Google it, but you're here anyway. And secondly, why do they always put people's ages? Like it's like if my wife had seen her age on this, like she'd be insulted.
Yeah, I know. They do like to put people's ages. I think it's just because TMZ is all about, let's give you the most juicy gossip that there is. And people want to relate to celebrities. So it's kind of cool when you're like, oh, that person's my age. I mean, as you get older, it's way less cool because you feel so old because everyone you read about is like 10 years, 20 years younger. But I remember being in my 20s and being like, oh, that person's my age. That's cool. But I think so. Estranged is typically just means like they're not divorced yet, but they're separated or they're not getting along. It's not really a legal term. I think it's just what they used to say, like people aren't getting along and it seems like they're going through a breakup. These stories are really common where you separate, then you get back together, then you separate again. I even have had people who get remarried and then divorce again. Because relationships are complicated and it's not that easy to end them. And especially when you're married, it's not easy to end them. And if you have kids and entangled finances, celebrities just happen to all be in the spotlight. So we hear about theirs, in front and center. But it's not rare. I mean, people take a very long time to make these breakup decisions, as they should, because if you can save your relationship, it's worth trying. But unfortunately, if you have any celebrity at all, TMZ is probably going to find you and broadcast any relationship news that you have.
Okay. Let's see. Here's something interesting from Newsweek.com. I work with couples about to divorce. Here are 5 of their top 5 problems. Susan Pease, Gaudua. So person seems like a therapist, some sort. Here are 5 things. Let's get feedback from you after this. Number 1, they work against each other, not with each other. Number 2, they don't communicate with each other about their needs and feelings. Number 3, they stop spending time together. Conversations about golf and gardening dried up and they stopped going to parties. Number 4, they begin to see the solution to their problems as being outside of the marriage. And number 5, they do not seek help. And let's see. Yeah, that's about it. What do you think?
I think all those things are true and very common. And I always recommend to my clients that they seek help and talk to a therapist before they decide to end their marriage. A lot of those things on that list are fixable if you want to put the time and energy in to fix them. A marriage is not easy, and it's like a plant, like it's alive. You have to keep tending to it and growing it. It's not like, okay, I got married now, my focus can be elsewhere. You always have to focus on it. Just like if you have a business and you stop tending to it, it's not going to run anymore. If you stop feeding your kids, they're not going to grow anymore. It's the same thing. Your marriage needs to be an important part of your life that you cater to if you want to keep it um, alive and growing and good. Now, that being said, it takes two people, and you both have to be doing that. And you both have to know what's important to the other person and be caring about that. So you can't do it on your own. But hopefully, two people will be committed enough to be able to do that and work together.
Okay, now it's the time of the show where we go over posts of what people are posting. First post, husband doesn't want a divorce after signing agreement. My husband and I drafted a divorce agreement that we both agreed to. Yesterday, we signed the agreement and had it notarized. All of a sudden, today he called me and said he can't divorce me and that he is skeptical now of the divorce. Isn't he required now to divorce me? He signed it right in front of a notary. What can I do about this?
Well, in California, signing in front of a notary would not make your divorce final. Um, it would have to be sent to the court and then signed by a judge. So if they both want to not have the divorce, they could just rip up those papers and shred them and end their divorce, cancel their divorce case. So that is possible. So it's unclear whether the person also doesn't want the divorce or still does. If you still do want the divorce, then you will get the divorce. One person cannot hold up a divorce. So if one person doesn't want to participate or decides they don't want the divorce, you still can go through with the divorce because it's a no fault divorce state and only one person has to request it.
Okay. Next one, detaching from my husband. My husband and I have been married for a year and a half now, together for 5. Our relationship was wonderful, and he was a thoughtful, romantic, and doting boyfriend and fiance. However, the moment we got married, he changed. It's like I was baited and switched. Dates are a memory. Affection is a battle, and sex out of the question. He only has time for beers with the guys and video games. To the point, I've begged him to just give me an hour of his time in the evenings, and he refuses. The people in my life have grown concerned for how badly I feel about myself and how much it has affected my mental health. I've done all that I can and have divorce on the brain. See, how do I do this? When do you know it's time to go? How do you tear apart a life you share, and when is it worth it? I see so many stories here and there of people in 10, 20-year relationships who wish they'd gone out when they realized the issue first. I'm 23. Someone has to love me the way I feel I deserve, right?
Oh, that's hard. Yeah, that person is very young. Um, it sounds to me like this is actually something pretty common. People change once they're married, and it may not be that they changed. It might just be that you're now seeing another side of them because they're comfortable, or you weren't together long enough before the marriage to see this side. Who knows? But it definitely sounds like the kind of situation where you need to nip it in the bud right now, get into counseling, tell the person this is not what you signed up for, you're not happy, and see if they're willing to discuss it and work on it. Because it's better to end things now before you're married longer and deeper entangled than to, wait and do it later. And if they're not willing to change now, they're probably not going to be willing to change later.
Okay. This post, emotions to expect after moving out of state post-divorce. I'm a female 35, am soon to move away from ex, male 35, after sharing 10 years of lives together, no kids, and in the same city for 1 year post-breakup. During this year, we have had friendly dinners, outings, etc. because we still have a dog, and our split was amicable. One noticeable thing, though, is that in general, my exes refrained from socializing together in groups of mutual friends. I was the one who decided to end the relationship, so that may have played a part in it. Anyway, I'm moving away soon, and as I get closer to moving date, I notice less and less friendly interactions with my ex. It hurts because he's still really important to me, and I don't know when we'll see each other again. This is a long distance move. I'm starting to feel as much progress as I've made moving on in the past year. I might slip back into the early morning stage from a year ago, since I am far away and he doesn't have any reason to contact me. Has anyone moved away after a childless divorce? What emotional stages followed?
That's a really good question. I think move-aways are really emotional. It depends how far you're moving to, but um, it's like a lot of people associate physical distance with emotional distance. And so maybe you need to physically move to be fully disconnected from the other person. And I think that's a pretty common feeling. So I think maybe this person feels like they never achieved that full emotional distancing, and the physical move is now going to basically cause that full emotional distancing. And I think that's a perfectly normal and healthy fear to have. Um, I think there may be stages of grief that you go through again. I'm not sure they'd be as intense as the initial stages of grief, but I do think that that's something that could happen. But I also think that the physical distance can be good and can feel like a new beginning for a lot of people. So it can be a positive.
Okay. Our last post here. I think I'm finally ready. I'm a female 38, have known my husband 43, male, for almost 8 years. We've been married for 5. His 2 grown kids from a previous marriage, and we have a 3-year-old together. The path to our divorce seems to have started when our daughter was born, although the groundwork was certainly there beforehand. It has nothing to do with her. Being a mom is great. She's great, but it was like the scales fell from my eyes and I looked around and thought, oh, S. I've gone through the cycle of thinking everything was my fault, thinking everything was his fault, and finally starting to understand the complex reality of it. We are 2 people who do the best we can with what we have, but sometimes what we have isn't reliable or healthy. If we skip down here, actually we can't because you fill this in. Let's see. I've tried to salvage things. I really have. I've listened to podcasts and read relationship books and codependency books and tried the Guzman card decks and love languages and sex toys and individual therapy for me, 2 couples therapists for us, and I'm exhausted. I was burned out 18 months ago, and um, I haven't been able to pull the trigger. I feel such shame that I've tried to do everything right, still failed. I feel like I'm failing everyone if I leave. I keep thinking that if we talk enough, I'll figure out the right words that will make him hear and understand what I've been saying. After a week about a week ago, after a conversation about our sex life and how I can't see how we can get back to a physical relationship unless we build some trust and emotional connection. I woke up to him getting okay. All right, let's stop it there. We had a little like a romance novel there. So yeah.
So it sounds like that person has tried a lot to make it work. Um, I really want to hear the end of that. Sounded interesting. You have to send it to me later. Um, but I think you have to remember that it takes 2 people, and a lot of people feel shame and embarrassment that their relationship didn't work, and you really shouldn't, because it's not all on you, and you can't look at it as a personal failure. It takes more than one person. You can't control the whole thing. You can't control your partner or your spouse, and it's not a failure. Okay, it brought a kid into the world. It served whatever relationship and emotional needs you had at the time. That's not a failure. It's a stage. That stage it was good in, and now it's not good, and maybe you need to move on to a new stage. But I try to get people to look at these things as stages in their life, not failures, not a waste of time, but a stage where you may have outgrown it now and you need to move on to something else.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm hearing a lot of like divorces, like people like my friends and family even a lot of, I guess, this whole thing where you're stuck together in the house. You know, it does two things, right? It makes your relationship stronger, or you just want to just go somewhere else and you can't. You're
Yes.
kind of trapped.
Divorce is it's definitely on the rise. However, I will also say I've seen reconciliations on the rise too. I feel like I've had some people that have pulled the trigger because COVID's made them nuts and they can't stand being around that person anymore. But after they do that, then they say, wait, let's pause. Maybe we can make this work. So I've seen both. And, I think people are living in very difficult situations right now with a lot of stressors, financial stress, stress of children homeschooling, stress of their jobs, and losing jobs is a hard time. And even someone that you get along with perfectly, it's hard to be in the house with them for, 5 months straight. So I think it's perfectly understandable that more people are being, you know, deciding to file. But also I do see these reconciliations, and hopefully after that initial like frustration goes away, a lot of these people do end up working it out.
Yeah, like I just compromised my wife. I spent so much on soda. Yeah, well, it's not like the sparkling soda, like the Perrier, LaCroix. And I just was like, I could save money, and she suggested that we meet in the middle. So I bought a soda machine. So
Did you get
yeah,
a soda stream?
yeah,
I have one. They're the best.
yeah.
They're awesome, and they do save you a lot of money.
Yeah, and recycling. I don't have to recycle. I have to like separate the cans and the bottles.
No, they're
So
great. They're great. Oh, good. Enjoy it. You can get lots of flavors.
yeah, so I will go and make my sodas. I'm going to experiment. So in the meantime, we're going to sign off here. This is Emily Robinson, Lenard de Guzman, Life After the podcast. See you guys next week.
See you next week.